Hi my friend and welcome to the channel. I am Richard Genders and you're watching Genders Gaming, a channel dedicated for analog games. Big, small, pen and paper, board games, card games, you name it, we play it and we show it for you. I say we, but I mean me because it's basically just me. But today I'm gonna show you Vikings of the North. This is from Alga and it's for 2 to 3 players. The mode I'm going to show you today is the 2-player mode. I'm going to show you the setup of the game, I'm going to show you the gameplay, go through the rules. So once you have watched this video, well, you are ready to take out to the seas and fight with your boats. This is the setup of the game. We start by putting together the game board with the sea in the middle. We take 6 fighting dice and put in front of us. We also take this little helmet representing an arrow and put it on number 1 on our point track. We then take 27 of these dice and put them in our bag. We shake the bag real good and we then put the dice out in our harbor. At this moment it does not matter where you put them, but you cannot turn them around, and the black line here should be facing you. Once you have put out the dice in your harbor, you will now have a chance to turn 2 dice around. Once we have done that, we need to roll the dice. Whoever gets the highest amount of number gets the first player token and becomes the first player. So this game is about you being a Viking lord, sending your troops out into the sea and hopefully come back victorious. And you need to get the most points. You will get points by getting your troops to the other player's harbor. The player with the most points at the end of the game, well, wins the game. This game is played out during 3 different steps. And the first one is where you get to turn 1 die around in your harbor. Remember, during setup we got to turn 2 dice around, but now we have 1 more chance to turn 1 die around. But what do the different dice mean? In this game there's 3 different types of warriors. We have archers, spearmen and axemen. These will give you 1 point each if you manage to get them to your opponent's harbor. But then we of course have farmers as well. This one here is a seed farmer, which is a regular farmer, and it will give you 2 points per die when they are placed in the opponent's harbor. These 3 ones here are special farmers. We have a forest farmer, a fisherman, and a herd. These will also give you 2 points per die if they reach the opponent's harbor, but if you manage to place them in a corresponding spot in your opponent's harbor, you will get 5 points per die. Meaning that, for example, if you manage to get the fisherman where the fish is, this would give you 5 points. And then we of course have the little ships here. We have the front of the ship and the back of the ship. To build a ship, well, these ones are placed together, but you can put your farmers and warriors in the middle of the ship to take them with you. There are a little symbol on these ships to represent which clan they belong to. That was step number 1 in this game, simply turning a die around. Now, this might sound like a quite simple little task to do, but it can actually affect your gameplay quite a lot, because depending on what kind of troops or farmers you bring out into the sea, there will be quite different results in the end of the game. But now we move into step number 2, and this is where you actually get to place one of your ships out in the sea. When you place your ship into the sea, it needs to be placed outside of your harbor, in the first line. But if this is occupied by your opponent, you get to place your ship behind your opponent. If there are several lines of opponents, you get to place your ship at the back of that opponent's row of ships. To place a ship, you of course need a front, but also a back of the boat. And now we get to fill up the boat with troops or farmers. You need to bring at least 1, 2 or 3 troops or farmers with you to be able to build a ship. So here we have one ship consisting of one archer and one sheep herd. We got the front and the back of the ship and it is ready to head out for sails. Remember, if you want to be able to place these special farmers, you need to place your ship either to the far right of your harbor or to the far left of the sea. So now we have constructed our first boat and we are ready to head out into the sea. Now, you might understand now why it's quite important for you to already have a plan at the beginning of the game, because you do not have that many chances to turn the dice around. So a little tip is to actually have as many fronts of the boats as you have backs of the boats. Otherwise it's quite hard for you to construct a boat. But now we head into the next phase, and this is where we move our ships. So we are ready to move our ships. Now, the ships are always moved against the opponents. They are never twisted or turned, and they always move forward. How many steps you can move depends on the size of your boat. If you have a small ship that consists of 3 dice, like this one here, you can move 3 steps. But if you have a middle-sized ship, like this one here, that consists of 4 dice, you can move 2 steps. And if you have a large ship, like this one here, that consists of 5 dice, you can only move 1 step. So this large ship here can move 1 step forward. This medium ship here can actually move 2 steps forward. And now we get to move these 2 any way we want to, right? Well, not quite. As you can see, they are facing an opponent, which means that to be able to pass, they actually need to ask their opponent if they may pass. To do this, you need to have at least 2 steps left on your movement, and there need to be space behind to be able to move. If your opponents agree for you to move by, you can simply move. But if the opponent says no for you to pass by, well, we need to spin to see if this will be a battle or we can do an evade. So when 2 players face off like this and one player won't let the other player pass, we need to see if there will be a battle or if we get to evade. To do this, we need to spin these little spinners here. But first we need to see which ship is the dominant ship. The ship that is the bigger ship becomes the dominant ship. If the ships are the same size, the one that is the first player becomes the dominant ship. So first, the ship that is dominant, in this case the white player, because they have 4 dice against 3, they get to spin their little spinner here. But they only get to spin it once. The smaller ship here actually get to spin once, but if they are not happy with the result, they get to respin the same amount that the other ship is bigger than. Meaning that in this case, the other ship has 1 more die than the ship with 3 dice. So they actually get to respin their spinner once, if they want to. Now we need to see what type of result we got. If the spinners ends up in the same spot, there will be a battle. If there is a difference between the dominant ship and the non-dominant ship by 1, there will be a battle. But if the difference is higher than 1, meaning plus or minus 3 or 4, there will be an evade instead. So if we manage to do an evade, we would simply just continue our movement. But remember, there needs of course to be space behind the dominant ship, otherwise, well, you're not going anywhere. But if there is a combat, we now need to roll some dice to see who will actually win. You will get 1 combat die for each military you have on your ship. But if you have militaries that are from the same clan, you actually get +1 die. Let me show you. So as you can see here, the dominant ship have 1 warrior on their ship, meaning that they get to roll 1 die. Now, the small ship here also have 1 warrior on their ship, but their boat is actually from the same clan, as you can see on the symbols here, meaning that they get to roll +1 die per warrior, giving them 2 die to roll in this combat. The dominant ship does not have the same clan symbols, which only gives them 1 die per warrior. Just be aware that it's not just the ship symbols that matters, it's also the symbols on the warriors themselves. So even though this ship has different clan symbols, the warriors have the same clan symbols, giving these dice here a +1. You get 1 die per warrior, but since they have the same symbol, you will get 1 extra die, giving this player 3 dice to roll. The player that wins the fight gets to put the other player's boat into the ocean, and then they score 1 point. When you make it to the opponent's docks, and you still have movements left, this is where you get to drop off any warriors or farmers that you have on your ship. The ship parts themselves are removed from the game, but this is where you score. Remember that a normal seed farmer were 2 points, and the special farmers were 2 points or 5 points if you manage to get them in the correct spot. The warriors are 1 point, but this is how you will actually get points in this game. So you can score points by getting your dice into the opponent's docks, but you can also score points by putting the other ships into the deep, deep sea by winning battles. But there's actually 2 more ways to get some points at the end of the game, because you will get 1 score for every die that your opponent have left in their harbor, but you will also score 1 point for every ship that you have on your opponent's side of the sea. When or if you have scored points, you simply show this by moving the little arrow up on your point track. And that's how you play Vikings. It's not that hard. You simply put out the dice in the dock, and this is almost where most of the strategy comes. When you get to twist and turn your little dice around, you really need to keep in mind where you want your ships to go and where you want them to land. Because remember, you can't turn them around, you can't twist them, you can simply go forward. And you want to make sure that you actually get the right combination, the right dice, to go in the right lane. Also, as I said in the beginning, it's a really good idea to keep in mind to have as many fronts of the boat as many backs of the boat, because otherwise that might mess you up quite a bit. I mean, you will get second chances to move them around again, to twist them again, but why jeopardize your whole journey into the sea, right? There you have it, my friend. That was Vikings of the North for you. A cool little dice game where you get to build your little ships and move them up and down the sea and hopefully come home glorious and victorious to take home the points. I showed you here the 2-player mode, remember? But there is a 3-player mode. I have sadly not tried it yet, so I can't tell you that much about it. All I know is that the player, who is the 3rd player, will portray as a Valkyrie instead, and using these cards to kind of disturb the game, I guess. But you will have to find out that for yourself, because now this video is done and I'm so happy that you have followed me along this journey to the sea. If you like to, please subscribe to the channel. Why not, right? It won't take you any time and it will give me a smile on my lips. If you like the video, people, please give it a thumbs up. If you have anything to say about the video or the game itself, well, why not write it down in the comments? I love to interact with you. There will be a lot of details down in the description as well about the game, where you can find it and links and so on, so check that out if you want to. And until next time, people, please keep on spreading that board gaming love I know you all have. Peace.